Hello, I'm Reverend Mike, and I'm here to answer your questions about religion. Today's topic is a controversial one, at least among Christians. Does the Bible contradict science? There has been a fight between science versus religion forever. And we're going to discuss from the beginning how these two things relate to each other. Let's start with Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Pretty simple. Does this contradict the Big Bang Theory? Bible does not mention the exact nature of this creation. We simply don't know enough about biblical creation to say that it didn't happen this way, that it didn't happen the way that science theorizes that it did. There's no point in arguing religion versus science when it comes to the theory of the Big Bang. We do not know by what method God created the universe. We cannot say that he didn't use this starting point. Genesis chapter 1 verse 2, most commonly translated as the earth was void and without form, but this is incorrect. It's more properly translated as the earth became void and without form. Because the earth became void, it implies that it existed before. A vast amount of time could have taken place between verses 1 and 2. Therefore, when science states that the earth is 4.5 billion years old, it does not contradict the Bible. Does Genesis contradict the heliocentric model, planets orbiting around the sun? This topic is way too big to go into in this video, but you can check out my other video, Does the Bible Support Flat Earth, for more details. Plants came into being in the third day, animals in the fifth day, and humans in the sixth. Does this contradict evolution? None of the Abrahamic religions describe the exact nature of the creation of life on Earth. This is why the religious argument against evolution baffles me, since the Bible does not say, poof, all of the animals suddenly appeared out of thin air. We cannot say that the Creator did not use some form of adaptation or evolution to create all life on Earth. I also find it interesting that the order of plants, then animals, then humans listed in the Bible are also the order of their evolution in science. There is a great debate on YouTube between Professor Dave Explains and Kent Hovind, a creationist. Kent's most frequent argument against evolution is that it has to be wrong because it says man evolved from a rock. That is a strange thing to argue, since the Abrahamic religions, including Christianity, says that God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils to give him life. In other words, his argument against evolution also is an argument against his own beliefs. Kent is either a fool or a hypocrite, because according to him, both theories for the development of mankind comes from the earth. On the other hand, I believe the saying evolution disproves God is also intellectually dishonest. The scientific argument, simplified, is that since evolution does not theoretically require God for it to occur, then God does not need to exist for it to occur. Unfortunately for them, that doesn't disprove that there's an intelligence that had some hand in the evolution of life on Earth. We cannot prove it, can't disprove it either. Another problem with using Genesis to disprove science is that the 6 days listed in the creation story are figurative. They're not literal. Remember 2 Peter 3:8, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. This clearly implies that the 6-day creation was at least 6,000 years, possibly more, because this passage can be interpreted as God being essentially timeless. Plus, if you ask any medical doctor or psychiatrist the effects of not resting at least 1 out of 7 days, it's been proven by modern science that working nonstop is bad for your physical and mental health. Here we have an ancient text telling you to rest every 7th day and not to push yourself too hard. If our all-powerful God feels the need to rest, then maybe we lowly humans should too. Once again, this ancient text supports science instead of contradicting it. Scientists might have a problem with certain things listed in the Bible. For instance, the miracles. Now, I'm not saying that these miracles weren't spectacular. They could have been supernatural events. However, using them as an argument against science, against the validity of this ancient text, is also not a legitimate argument. Many of the miracles listed in the Bible are easily attributable to science. Now you might be thinking, what? How could that be? Trust me. There are many instances of Jesus, Yeshua, curing lepers. Now back then, the term leper or leprosy was pretty much a blanket term to describe any kind of skin condition. Now, many of these skin conditions can be easily treatable by good hygiene. And if you will notice, in many parts of the New Testament, Jesus tells these lepers to go wash themselves repeatedly in clean, fresh water. And lo and behold, the leprosy is cured. This could be a miraculous event, but it could also be a completely scientifically explainable medical event. We know very little about Jesus and what he was up to in his youth. We do know he went to Egypt, who had some pretty decent medical knowledge. He could very easily have learned the benefits of hygiene. He may have actually been very well versed in herbology and other medical teachings of the time. Even curing blindness could have been a primitive removal of cataracts. Once again, could have been a miraculous thing, could have been a medical thing. Lazarus coming back from the dead could have been a miraculous thing, or it could have been somebody who was thought to be dead and had been prepared for burial, but he was not in fact dead. There are many cases of people being buried alive because they were thought to have passed and they didn't. Again, I have to reiterate, for the people of faith, I'm not saying it wasn't a miraculous event, but it could also have been a scientific one that cannot be so easily dismissed by science. We'll just skip over the loaves and fishes thing. Not sure we're going to have a scientific explanation for that one. The only other miracle I can think of would be the exorcism of evil spirits, and I don't think I want to go into that for this video. That is very clearly a mystical event and probably better analyzed in a dedicated video on evil spirits or demons, that sort of thing. Of course, the biggest one is probably the resurrection. There is very little doubt amongst Christians that this was a miraculous event, although there have been factions of Christianity that believed that he did not truly resurrect, that he actually survived the crucifixion. There are cases in history of people surviving being crucified. They were usually pretty crippled up by the time they were taken down. I don't know if I give credence to the idea that Jesus just survived. Pretty sure the Romans wouldn't have allowed that. So even if science has a problem with that, it's still not outside the realm of possibility that he survived. So once again, Christians believe it to be a miraculous event, but it is still something that could have happened in a completely natural way, therefore cannot be used by atheists as ammunition against the Bible. At least in my humble opinion, or not so, at least in my not so humble opinion. That being said, people of faith need to stop meddling in the teaching of science. Science can only progress properly if it is built on quantifiable fact, not on belief, not on somebody's interpretation of ancient texts. Let the scientists do their thing. Let teachers pass on pure science to the students. You can teach religious wisdom at home or in church. As I said, they don't have to contradict each other. They don't have to confuse your children. Science and religion can exist in harmony if we are mindful of how they are taught. Science in school and religion at home, but not contradicting the other. Scientists shouldn't say religion doesn't exist, and religious people shouldn't say science doesn't exist. If you think science and religion contradict each other, you either don't understand science or you don't understand religion. I will put a link to the debate between Professor Dave Explains and Dr. Kent Hovind in the description below for those of you who would like to check it out. It's a really good debate, I think. It's not overly one-sided, at least in my opinion. Well, thanks for watching this video. Please click like or dislike, subscribe if you want to see more. Feel free to comment or leave a question below. Who knows, your question might even become the subject of a future video. Be good to each other. We are all in this together.